Hello and welcome to another live Sangha on this special ASMR Sunday edition. May this be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna. And as we await our first guests to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as being an opening, all-inclusive environment, open to everyone, regardless of background, identity, belief system, orientation, anything in which we might categorize ourselves on the surface with. Let us seek the unity beneath that in our hearts. And that is the intention I have for this space today. I hope that we can come together as fellow students of life to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments. In this space, on this day, I would like to add an extra emphasis on affirming you, validating you, and overall cultivating an atmosphere of peace, bliss, and relaxation. I trust that those who are joining today are feeling as well as they can, given whatever circumstances might be prevailing in their body, in their mind, in their emotions. Check in with how you're feeling. Ask yourself how you want to be feeling. See if there's a mood adjustment that we can make. And hello, dear Marcia. Thank you for your trio of roses, blessing us so early on in our live stream today. Radhe, Radhe. Welcome. Today is a beautiful day, and even if we cannot see that beauty, it is there. Sometimes beauty lay hidden behind things that we have to sort through. So much of our own beauty is unexpressed. And it is not the expression which makes you beautiful. It's what there is to express. And there is so much more there than will ever come out to the surface. Hello, Bob. Thank you for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. And hello, Annika. Thank you for your rose also. Jai Sita Ram. Hello, Auntie. Hello, Purple Haze. I'm happy to hear that you're just trying to stay positive and full of love, Bob. It's a good way to be. And hello, Alice. My day has been beautiful so far. And thank you, Purple Haze, for your community fest also. Hare Krishna. Stone Phoenix, you share that it's always a beautiful day. It is just the way you choose to see it. So always remember your light. Beautiful reminder. So, since you all have gathered here so early, I get to have fun with you. Specifically, you get to entertain me in my question of the day today. And my question of the day today is just an acknowledgement. I'd like to know how you're feeling. And if there's an adjustment that you'd like to make, how do you want to feel? Mind you, you're allowed to feel what you're feeling right now. But we can still direct it in ways to bring out other feelings that we want to feel too. And thank you, Purple Haze, for your pair of fires also. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Doke B, you're wondering, how come I don't have videos anymore? Making room for something new. Namaste, Anna. Angie, you share that you're feeling stressed. Understandable. Indeed, we are inside today. Spaghetti on a plate. Happy Sunday, Laura. You're wondering what's the good message today? Oh, I feel like the good message today is inside you. You tell me, Laura. What's your good message? I'd be happy to amplify your voice. Mars, you share that you're feeling tired, and you're okay feeling like this because you've been busy today. It's good. Sometimes feeling tired is a measure of accomplishment. The more you do in a day, well, the better you'll sleep at night. Just the JP. You share that you feel terrified, lost your job and struggling, and you want to feel peace. I'm sorry to hear that. When we lose the method in which we cultivate a sense of security, that can put into question our basic comforts and safeties. I trust that all the comfort and safety that you need is something that will be taken care of in one way or another. Christina, you share that you're feeling optimistic and healed, but sometimes you feel like you're never going to be loved. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's a very vulnerable acknowledgement. And thank you, Shakira, for your heart me. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Hare Om Tat Sat. Now, when we are love, there is no question of being loved. When we are the source of love, we require nothing from anyone else. We are whole in and of ourselves. Mr. Astrolabe, you share that you have a theory that each person is an aspect of truth exploring themselves. That's so beautiful. I think it's more than just theory, my friend, but something you've experienced to be true. And do you want to feel happy? It's good. $? You share you're okay, but you'd like to be feeling more love in your heart currently. And that makes sense also. Auntie, you share that happiness is a choice. Positive is a great perspective to be able to have. It's powerful. Spaghetti on a plate, you share that you're feeling sleepy and want to feel motivated. Sometimes rest is allowed as well. Catherine, you share that you are sick with fibromyalgia for 6 months, and you are better now, no pain, and you are thanking Jesus. That's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that through faith you are able to overcome various difficulties. Shakira, you shared that you're feeling okay, and you would like to feel happy and confident. Hello, Corey. Aquarius lady, you are feeling accomplished. It's good. In Purple Haze, you share that you use natural remedies for your fibromyalgia and mindfulness. Jai, you share that you feel blessed and have no desire to feel any other way. That's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you, Ava, for your donut. Hare Om Tat Sat. Marcia, you share that you're feeling overwhelmed and you want to feel like you don't care about all insignificant things. Well, sometimes what might be insignificant to others is very significant to us, and we should cherish that. Purple Haze, you share that 10 minutes at least in nature and trees really helps you grounding. Well, literally. I love that. Anna, you share you're feeling, you don't know. Your dog reached your mala and destroyed it, and you want to feel inspired to make a new one. I love that inspiration. It's good luck when they break. Auntie, you share that you feel peaceful inside and you choose to be happy and set your intentions to a positive outlook. I'm very happy to hear that. And hello, Sarah. Alright, Laura, the good message is try to stay active in soul, mind, or body for peace. I like that. Activity in this world is a birthright. Anila, you share that you're feeling hungry, but you cannot fall asleep, although you've been trying. I know that I can't fall asleep unless my tummy is nice and full. And hello, Sarah dear. Kiroro Nov, you share that you feel like you can't love romantically anymore after everything that happened to your past. Well, as we were talking about, going through a breakup is a time of grief and a time of reallocating our love. Learning how to love again in new ways can take time. And this is where you're at right now, and that's perfectly okay. Lumi, you share that you're feeling grateful and abundant. Ellen, you share that you are broken-hearted and you want to heal. And Andy Chilled, you ask a great question. Are we to assume that is referring to the fact that people don't feel the way they want to? Oftentimes, we have an ability to direct our feelings and make adjustments. But I love your observation about wanting to feel just the way we are. And that's a beautiful subtext that I'm glad you noticed. And thank you, Dov Darker, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Van Penguin, thank you for your cloud bread. 11 of them to be exact, and an ice cream cone in between, making an ice cream sandwich. Om Grim Kalikaye Namaha. Hello, Lilo. Soul Doll Blues, you share that you're feeling like you're carried on a rapid river, hitting rocks, gazing at the night sky, but you want to fly. That's very poetic. And namaste, Lumi. Enjoy your cooking. Thanks for popping by. Mr. Astrolabe, you share that you believe consciousness is an aspect of truth exploring truth. I agree, my friend. And Sarah, you share that you feel sad, but you feel okay with feeling this sadness. That's beautiful. And how am I feeling today? Asks $. I'm feeling relaxed, sleepy, and that's how I want to feel. Good evening, Eric. Ava, you share that you are feeling lonely on the spiritual path and you don't know how to fix that. And that's very understandable also. Van Penguin, you are feeling abundant. But how do you feel? You need answers, you add. Jesse, you share that you're feeling melancholic, just trying to ride it out. If you have to ask, you'll never know, you ask. What languages do you speak? Well, as your username says, you'll never know. No, I speak English. And baby talk and a bit of Animal Crossing. And that's about it. Stray Kids Voices, you share that you're struggling tonight. Discontented, and feeling unappreciated, but feel selfish for feeling that way. Well, that's very honest. And I think that's beautiful that you can be so in touch with your feelings that way. And thank you, Pheromone, for your heart meat and trio of friendship necklaces. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, Vam Penguin, for your pumpkin spice latte and your popcorn. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. And thank you, Shay. Ellen, you share that you think it's difficult to accept that your relationship has ended. That is a difficult thing to accept. And hello, Chloe Evans. You share that you're feeling numb, but you want to feel happy about your job. That makes sense to me. And Alex, you share that you are feeling sad and terrified as your son is in hospital right now. Well, if your son is going through some health difficulties, that's the best place for them to be right now. You wouldn't want them anywhere else. I trust that he is in good care. And I trust that you are taking care of your spirit too. So thank you, everyone, for checking in with yourself and allowing me to check in with you. I believe that it is important to feel like we are content with what we're feeling, even if it's a negative emotion. And I am happy to just listen to how you're feeling. But if any of you want to talk about how we can shift from what we're feeling to what we want to feel, I'd be happy to talk about that too, given my limited experience of having emotions also. Barbara, you shared that you feel like having a rock on your back, carrying too much stuff, and you want to feel free. That's very visual. I like that. And welcome, Katie Pond. Me too. I never remember what day it is. Alright. I like to start my lives with a question of the day, which we just did, and then a short reading from this book that relaxes my soul. I hope that you allow me to read a few pages with you. And then we can really open the floor to whatever. And hello, Susan. Happy Sunday. Good evening, Velo. Happy to see you again. Susan, you are always appreciated. I hope you know that. Ava, you are wondering, how did I start my spiritual journey? Well, it begins with you. We're only just beginning on this journey together. All right. So today we are reading from a new section in the 4th chapter called Embracing All in this book, In Love at Ease, Everyday Spirituality with Pramukh Swami Maharaj. It's about a spiritual leader that I had not heard of until, well, one of you sent this book for me to read with you all, and it's a beautiful book, and I've been learning lots about his ability to be in love and at ease. This section is called Beyond Forgiveness, the Akshardham response. I think there was a bit of a prelude in the paragraph that came just before this that we ended with, so I'll read it again. Swamishri saw beyond race and religion. He saw people whom he healed and connected. Through his humility and all-embracing love and acceptance, Swamishri made the world a smaller place, one bridge, one heart at a time. He had no limits. He could forgive and forget even those who raised guns at him and his bhaktas, his devotees. I hope we can learn from this section. And this might be a difficult session for people to listen to. Forgiving unconditionally is a spiritual height reached by a rare few. It is an essential ingredient for one's own happiness and that of others. Wishing well upon transgressors by praying for their ultimate well-being is a quality which only manifests in those who are humanly divine. Pramukh Swami Maharaj tolerated and maintained spiritual stillness in insult and injury. Many examples of this have been shared in chapters 2 and 3. The ultimate articulation of that spiritual stillness is seen through his ability to forgive and even pray for the moksha, which is the Sanskrit word for ultimate spiritual liberation of those who attacked his mandir, his temple, his sadhus, his monks, and his bhaktas, his devotees. To embrace all is to forgive and wish well upon those whose intentions, ideologies, and actions you question or disagree with. And hello, Kills, Koli, and hello, Alcoholic Jesus. And hello, Mr. Mate. It was a particularly difficult year for the people of Gujarat, which is a region in India. The burning train in Godhra in northern Gujarat had resulted in the death of 58 Hindu volunteers and pilgrims returning from the sacred city of Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh. The Godhra riots that ensued were responsible for the death of more than 750 Muslims and 250 Hindus. Gujarat was in a state of chaos. Businesses were closed and people were scared. There was uneasiness in the air. 7 months later, on the 24th of September 2002, the uneasiness manifested into a terrorist attack on the Swaminarayan Akshardham in Gandhinagar. Brahma Viharidas Swami has written a detailed account of what happened between the hours of 4:45 p.m. and 6:45 a.m. the following morning. Here, I focus on the Guru's response to the gruesome terrorist attack resulting in the deaths of 30 innocent pilgrims and volunteers, 1 sadhu, 1 monk, and 2 National Security Guard, NSG Black Cat Commandos. Pramukh Swami Maharaj was in Sarangpur when he received word that 2 armed terrorists had attacked the Mandir complex with military-grade semi-automatic weapons, and grenades. His initial response was prayer. He asked for the murti, the image of Hare Krishna Maharaj, to be brought to him. He asked the other sadhus to sit with him in prayer. Swamishri then sprang into action in coordination with sadhus in Gandhinagar during Operation Thunderbolt, Vajra Shakti. Swamishri regularly reached out to Ishvar Chananda Swami, Brahma Viharidas Swami, and others in Gandhinagar and Ahmedabad to convey two simple messages. First, work with a slab of ice on your head. Stay calm and collected. Anger is not the answer. Peace and stability are the only way to get past this moment. Second, be careful with the words you use. Do not provoke more death and destruction by expressing sentiments and statements irresponsibly. After Swamishri heard that one of his sadhus, Parameshwar Das Swami, had died after being shot during the operation, he called the sadhus again. I know all of you are in pain. Stay calm and stable. Be responsible on the outside and contain your pain within. Years ago, in 1969, a sadhu was injured in communal riots and the region was engulfed in religious riots. Stay quiet. We cannot let religious strife inflame violence and death. Innocent people will lose their lives. On the morning of 25th September 2002, calls and visitors started pouring in from all over the nation and the world. Religious leaders from the Muslim community came and expressed their sorrow and condolences. Swamishri warmly accepted their wishes. Hindu leaders called and asked for Swamishri's permission to give public statements in his name, and Swamishri respectfully declined. Political and community leaders called to gauge Swamishri's response. Swamishri was calm. Despite calls from hardliners to appeal to the Hindu majority and show strength through force and brutality, Swamishri appealed to all the people of Gujarat and India to maintain peace, forgiveness, and unity in the wake of this national tragedy. And hello, Gio. Hello, Gina. Swamishri's private conversations were no different from his public appeal. A leading industrialist in Kampala, Uganda, Ramji Bhai Patel, called Swamishri to express his sorrow and anger after the attack. He said, I am so troubled by the attack on Akshardham by these Muslim terrorists that I want to lay off all of my Muslim employees. Swamishri was alarmed. That would be wrong and inhumane, he said. They have nothing to do with the terrorists. Terrorism has no religion. Ramji? Swamishri's words attacked divisiveness and hatred at the core. In the hearts and minds of people who make up society, Swamishri never changed his song of bhakti, of loving devotion, selfless love and service to all of God's creation. Swamishri's response was not staged or performed. He was not responding in a measured manner out of a calculative strategy. It is who he was. Forgiveness was the path to unity. Brigadier Raj Sitapati, who was meticulously selected by his superiors as the commanding officer for this high-profile operation, realized that Swamishri's response was the difference between a calm Gujarat and one that would free fall into a state of turbulence. Swamishri was not a Hindu leader or the president of BEPS in that moment. He was the leader of Gujarat and India in that moment. He was the leader of the nation's spiritual consciousness. What he did in that moment is unimaginable. I credit him for digesting that pain and only returning peace and harmony to society. Brigadier Sitapati recalls how the interactions he had with Swamishri in the days, weeks, and years after the attack. Swamishri only used words of calm, forgiveness, and unity. Brahma Viharidas Swami notes that not only did Swamishri avoid inflammatory language, but he never focused on the social, religious, ethnic, or national identity of the terrorists. For Swamishri, terrorism does not have an identity, religious or cultural. Terrorists are terrorists, he said. Ujjai Umat, a leading journalist and editor in Gujarat, recalls Swamishri's commitment to duty through action. He was at the Akshardham complex during the attack and covered the community for days after. He recalls that Swamishri was so focused on what he needed to do that he did not need to say much to the public beyond his bold and convincing appeal for peace. Swamishri let his actions speak for themselves. I learned that His Holiness was visiting civil hospital in Ahmedabad to comfort those who were severely injured and meet the family of the deceased victims. I could see the remorse and sympathy on his face, but there was a lack of anger-driven passion. I wondered how he could feel so much for those who were hurting and not an equal feeling of fury and hatred for those who had caused hurt. That was a quote by Ujjai Umat. Swamishri held a public memorial assembly on the 29th of September 2002, at which he personally confirmed that none of the community leaders in attendance would use inflammatory language or incite calls for violence amongst themselves. He also instructed the sadhus, the monks, not to schedule any speeches, just prayers and bhajans, devotional songs, among the 25,000 in attendance. This was a strategic move to avoid divisiveness and encourage peace and unity in the state. Swamishri could not control what others may say when impassioned and at the sight of the attack. Instead, he quietened their anger and replaced it with bhakti, with loving devotion. Swamishri visited the entire Swaminarayan Akshardham complex in the days after the attack. He surveyed the damage and prayed at every site where pilgrims had been injured or killed. Mr. Umat was following from a distance. He noticed that Swamishri leaned towards one of the sadhus and asked him something. Swamishri walked to a particular place on the campus and sprinkled some sanctified flowers and prayed for several minutes. It then dawned on him that Swamishri was praying at the location where the terrorists had eventually been subdued. He rushed to that location to see what Swamishri was whispering. Swamishri was praying for peace and the purification of thought and actions so that no one would ever think of attacking anyone, any place, or any religion. May the world be free of terror attacks in thought and action. Mr. Umat later learned from a sadhu that Swamishri had told him that he prayed to God for the moksha, the liberation of all the souls involved in the attack. He was in shock. How could Swamishri not only forgive, but pray for the ultimate well-being of someone who had done so much wrong, and specifically to him and his own community? In the interactions that followed, he realized that Swamishri looked beyond their actions to experience the Atman, the true self, and God that lived within them. It is important to contextualize moksha here. Moksha is the ultimate aim. It is the ultimate result of all spiritual endeavors. After moksha, there's nothing left to do. Moksha is transcending all pain, suffering, ego, instincts, and desires. Moksha is ultimate happiness. For a religious leader whose mandir, whose temple was attacked, and whose bhaktas, devotees, and sadhus, monks, were killed, to pray for the release of the transgressors was unimaginable. It is only possible when one is living that state of transcendence, a spiritual state different from those around him. It is a state in which aham shunyata, I-less, bhakti, in love, and samanta, inclusiveness, characterize his natural state of being. And I love that observation too, Auntie. I love that he understands that people aren't bad, just the choices. Good evening, Laurie. And hello, Dio Priscilla. Over the years, Swamishri's reaction came to be celebrated as the so-called Akshardham response, and has been presented at conferences, anti-terrorism trainings, professional seminars, and NGO workshops. The vast impact of the Akshardham response does not just include Swamishri's thoughts and actions, but the resounding effect it has had on society. Swamishri's ability to forgive and transcend differences were infectious. He created a network of sadhus, bhaktas, business people, army top brass, and even journalists who learned to see the world with an eye of equality and unity. What struck me about my multiple conversations with a diverse group of bhaktas, sadhus, professionals, and elected officials is that each of them had come to speak Swamishri's language. 22 years after the attack, they all spoke of peace, unity, moksha, prayer, non-divisiveness, a slab of ice, and so on. Swamishri's greatest contribution on this front was his ability to change the rhetoric associated with religious conflict and strife. He did not pin people against each other. He did not let conflict brew to benefit from sympathy or even popularity. He did not turn a blind eye to those who were stirring trouble. Swamishri shut down hatred and divisiveness before they could be articulated. And he did it in a way that united the entire community. If Swamishri was ever partial, it was towards love, peace, and harmony. Swamishri's unity derived from equality did not just benefit his community and disciples, it changed entire states, nations, and generations. Brigadier Sitapati, Ajay Umat, and millions of others who have wondered what could have happened to Gujarat if Swamishri did not think and act in the way he did in the hours and days after the terrorist attack. Would it still look the way it does today? Perhaps it is a good thing that we never know, that we may never know the answer to that question. And there's just one more page before the end of this whole chapter, so I might as well just read this, and then we can continue reading from the next chapter next time. This last section is called Equality That Unites, and it's just 2 paragraphs. Our fixer tapped me on the thigh as I sat in the imam's shed with my eyes closed. We had stopped singing, but our minds and hearts were still floating on the wave of Narasimha Mehta's oneness of bhakti and seva, a feeling of samnyata and aikya. Some of you may remember that, I guess now weeks ago, this was all a bit of a story, as the author Yogi Trivedi was in I believe a refugee camp in Jordan for Syrians. We felt equal together. I was not a visitor, and they were not residents of a refugee camp. I was not a Hindu, and they were not Muslims. I was not an American, and they were not Syrians in Jordan. Visitors are not allowed to stay past sunset in camps. Professor, we should probably get going soon. Amman is an 1.5-hour drive from here. As I prepared to leave the Imam's house in the refugee camp, his home, rather, I reflected on what I had learned. Yes, I had observed important lessons of looking past religion, financial status, nationality, race, social class, identity in general. Yes, I had observed important lessons of generosity and experiencing the divine. But there was one lesson that surfaced as I was standing up. My time with the Imam helped me process interactions that I had heard or witnessed with my Guru. The corners of my eyes welled with tears as we were parting. He was smiling. I had not hugged my Guru in several years, but that farewell hug from a Muslim Imam in a refugee camp in Jordan felt like the embrace of my Guru. For Gurus embrace and guide us through others. They teach us and walk with us through others. He did not stand in for my Guru, but he embodied his lessons and spirit in that moment. Swamishri's spiritual lessons of fairness, impartiality, and looking beyond race, social order, and religious identity had found me in Jordan. Experiencing the Imam's story and embrace brought me one step closer to my Guru. The last 2 years had been difficult, with Swamishri's worsening health and advancing age, but only because I had not learnt this lesson yet. Swamishri was speaking to me every day and through everyone. I just needed to look for his face and listen for his voice. To embrace all, one must listen for the Guru's voice and lesson in those around oneself with reverence and an open mind. Swamishri's universality was glaring at me in the face. The greatest marker of my Guru's oneness and equality was his constant presence in the world around me. Swamishri had connected with the world. He connected the world. Due to his exemplary, practical applications of equality and unity, Swamishri could be experienced in all of creation. He was one with them, one with me. Swamishri's ability to embrace all is how he reaped the greatest benefit of spirituality, to be himself, to be at peace, to be at ease. And thus we conclude our reading of In Love at Ease for now. And with that, the whole of the 4th chapter, which has taken us now almost near the end of the book. We only have that much of the book to read, and we've already read so much. The next chapter that we'll start later is called At Ease. Subtitle, Sharing Sahajanand, which is one of the names for his Ishta Devata, Swaminarayan. Thank you for listening. Namaste Lupi Lane. Jai Shri Ram Namarupa. And thank you to those who sent a gift while we were reading, like Alcoholic Jesus. Thank you for your quintet of finger hearts. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Spaghetti on a Plate. Thank you for your finger heart also. Jai Swaminarayan. And Peter Schaefer, thank you for your rose. Jai Sachitananda. Andrea, thank you for your rose also. Hare Krishna. Jill, thank you for your tiny. Yippee! And Alcoholic Jesus, thank you for your pair of disco loves also. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Jill, for your finger heart as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Usha, thank you for your heart and your 9 roses. Usha, bye. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Lori, thank you for your heart me. Om Krim Kalekaye Namaha. And Dio Priscilla. Lima Bean, thank you for your rose, your ice cream cone, your TikTok, your cloud bread, and another rose. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Loopy Lane, thank you for your 11 roses. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Alcoholic Jesus, for another 5 roses too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Tutos, thank you for your heart me and pair of roses. Jai Shri Ram. It's true, my bandana is off today, Priscilla. As I'm inside, I don't need to keep the hair out of my eyes since the wind is not blowing. Heather, you shared that you are sick with the flu. Well, it's a good time to take care of yourself and let others take care of you if you give them the opportunity. Sometimes I find that being sick, although it's not something I'd wish on anyone, can be a liberating experience. And when you surrender to it, it's a nice time to, get away from your responsibilities. Be responsible for rest, for water, for simple things that make the biggest difference. And Corina, you're wondering if I have any tips for feeling better overall in general. Well, my first tip, I would say, is to allow yourself to feel exactly how you are right now. Sometimes it is our resisting to what we're feeling that makes us feel discontent. But with acceptance, even in times of feeling bad, you can feel whole. You can feel whole in your sadness, or in your fear, or in your anger. And these emotions are very human. and you're certainly allowed to have them at the very least. Might as well give yourself permission also. But in general, one step at a time by the law of incremental growth. If we direct our mind towards positive things, just 0.1% at a time, it becomes more and more of an abode of divinity. Sly Merlin is asking me something in Hindi. I don't know what you are saying, my friend. But all I can say is Dhanyavad. Thank you, Jarrett, for your heart me and 19 team bracelets also. Hare Krishna. And for your additional team bracelet. Dhanyavad. And Hilm Cheryl, thank you for your heart me. Jai Sitaram. I love you too, Crossfires. Crossfires, you share that you have a Buddhist sanctuary down the road from you that you wonder how you can attend or how they do it. No, I'm sure it's very simple. Anyone is welcome to attend. Yeah. They'd be very accommodating. It's the nature of Buddhists. Everyone is welcome to come and meditate, I am sure. And Auntie, you share that you are in AZ right now. But there is this temple in Sugarland, Texas. You have no way or no money to get there, but you know you have to go there. Leap of faith. I just love that name, Sugarland. How sweet. I am sure that you will be guided to everywhere that you are destined to go. Cheryl, you're wondering, can girls come in to a Buddhist sanctuary? Probably. Yes, there are many Buddhist monks, many Buddhist nuns. Buddhism certainly does not discriminate in gender. But sometimes there are specific parts of a sanctuary dedicated to one gender, one to another. You'll have to check in with them. But my gut feeling is that it doesn't matter. Thank you, Betty Elf, for your rose and friendship necklace. Hare Rama. And thank you, Risi, for your 30-finger hearts. Here's some for you too. Jai Satchitananda. You'll take pictures. Good. I would like to see them, Auntie. And goodbye, Susan. Thank you for being here. The baby GTR, you're wondering, how long did my hair take to grow? That's a good question. I think the last time I had a haircut was a year or two ago now. 2 years ago. Something like that. Yeah. I cut it down to my shoulders. My mom did. My mom is my favorite barber, hairstylist. I always go to her. And I really don't have any concept of time, really, ever since I left school. As I was saying yesterday, my memories are based in what grade I was in at the time. Oh yeah, I was in grade 3, grade 4, grade 6, whatever. But now that I'm out of school, it's like just one formless concept of time. So I really don't know. Nobody, you are wondering, what is the biggest difference between Buddhism and Hinduism? Well, it's a difficult question because there's a lot more similarities than there are differences. They share the same goal, and many of the ways in which they get there, like meditation, for example, and understanding the law of karma, samsara, reincarnation, escaping the cycle of suffering, that's all in agreement. There's just slight differences in terminology, really, and practice. For example, Hinduism, it's very liberal in the sense that there's a path for everyone. If you want to reach liberation through devotion to a particular form of the divine, that's bhakti yoga, and you can even craft your own particular form of the divine, or use ones that have been used for thousands of years. There's a lot of choice there. Or if you want to just study scripture and meditate, you can do that. If you want to contort your body into a pretzel and take the energy up the spine out of the crown chakra for your liberation, there's a practice in Hinduism for that also. But Buddhism is a little more secular in that they cut out a lot of the fluff. So it's great for people that don't want to be bothered by all of the ritualistic components of religion. They just want to meditate and be liberated. It's very simple. It's very effective. It's very beautiful. Some people like that. Some people prefer having the simplicity. Don't worry about gods and goddesses. Don't worry about any sort of way to contort your body. Just meditate. Just continue to listen to the teachings of the Buddha, and you will get there. But perhaps the biggest philosophical difference is that the Buddhists have no concept of a true soul, or an atma, as it's called. They have a principle, literally anatma. No atma, no true self, no soul. Whereas the Hindus say almost the exact opposite, which is, no, there is nothing but your true self. In fact, this whole universe is a part of you as the Atma. Atma aham brahmasmi. It is all one with you. That is your true self. But to me, they're saying very similar things, even though it sounds like opposing beliefs. Whether you believe in no self or all self, the point is, there's no difference between you and I. Either you and I are just a part of one thing that we don't identify with, or you and I are part of one thing that we can both identify with. There's just no separation. I think that's the essence of both the Buddhist and the Hindu view of yourself and the universe. And Chloe, you're asking, is chanting a mantra good for sleep? Absolutely. Yes. Which is funny, because a mantra is good to wake up. If you want to awaken, then you use a mantra. But using a mantra at nighttime can be so relaxing, you just fall asleep. I've definitely fallen asleep while doing a mantra. In fact, I did it last night. I was using the Kali Gayatri mantra. And Gabby, you're wondering, are twin flames real? I get this question a lot. Twin flames refer to something very, very, very beautiful. Very, very, very abstract. And that's right, Cheryl. A mantra is saying something over and over, but specifically something that uplifts you. Sometimes we say we beat ourselves up by saying the same thing over and over and over again. I'm so dumb, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, I'm so stupid. But that's not a mantra. A mantra is meant to uplift you. Twin flames. There's a twin flame inside everyone. Both of them are inside you. The two twin flames, they have names. Shiva, Shakti. These are the names of the twin flames in Sanskrit. Shakti is the flame that spreads outwards. Shiva is the flame that burns inwards. It is where we get the primordial concept of the masculine and the feminine. The feminine is that external fire, the one which spreads and expands and gives, radiates, shines. That's Shakti. The masculine is the ember that burns within, that goes deeper and deeper and deeper until we find our own inner light, the lightless kind of light. It's still. That is Shiva. Most people, they have their twin flames unbalanced. They're more Shakti than they are Shiva, or they're more Shiva than they are Shakti. This means that they're more outwardly flowing than they are inwardly resolved, or they're more inwardly resolved than they are outward flowing. So let's say you are 80% Shakti, 20% Shiva. Well, we can go through a yogic process to balance these things, but a very easy way to balance these things is just to find someone else that complements your own twin flames. That they're 80% Shiva and 20% Shakti or thereabouts. So the two of you together, you marry your twin flames because they balance out, they equalize. Whatever your absence in Shakti is, their Shiva makes up for it. Whatever their absence of Shiva is, your Shakti makes up for it, etc. So it's not that you have a twin flame that's a person. It's that another person can marry the twin flames inside you because they balance out your own ratio of Shiva versus Shakti. But your twin flame, we have to say it in the plural. Your twin flames, plural, are Shiva and Shakti. And thank you, the link below, for your fire. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. In yoga, the force of the feminine is that which represents power, which represents movement and flow. And the force of the masculine, Shiva, is that which represents stillness. And we need both in life. We need stillness just as we need movement. David Wilborn, you're wondering, would the world be a little more aware if everyone practiced golden silence for a while each day? Could you imagine? I think if the world was silent for a minute, or even laughed for a minute, or cried for a minute, if we all felt the same thing, and we knew that each other were feeling the same things, that would make a wonderful world, wouldn't it? And thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope you know that on behalf of the universe, you are not just an addition, you are a necessary component. That of all of the trillions of galaxies, each with trillions of stars, often with dozens of planets, and on this one, how many trillions of life forms? The universe said, I cannot be complete without one of you. Out of all of the possible interactions in this universe and combinations of atoms and energy, you had to be here. There was no other way for this universe to exist. In Crossfires, you were wondering a great question. How can we know if we're truly feeling the same thing in the room with other people? Oftentimes, we don't need to know. We're like an Oreo. We're what's on the outside in the world. We are experiencing the same universe, just from different angles. And what's deep down at the level of consciousness, it is the very same essence. So, same universe, same essence, but everything in between, our own personality, our own feelings, that's always changing and not always in alignment. And that's okay. You don't have to be in alignment with another person's feelings when you are already in the same universe and in the same consciousness. And thank you, Linda, for your square of roses. Perhaps my favorite square. 6 by 6 making 36. It's a very satisfying grouping, I think. Okay, maybe I lied. I like I times I equals -1. The imaginary number. That's a good root. Thank you, Linda. Jai Shri Ram. And thank you, Strawberry Star Bunny, for your heart meeto. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you, John F., for your community best. Om Dum Dargaye Namaha. I love you too, Dr. Jenny. Thank you for being a part of this piece, this space. Sean, you ask, do I alcohol? Because it makes us feel those things, but the problem is it makes us feel worse later. It's a great question. What any substance does that helps us make us feel better is that it's like taking out a loan. If you go to a bank, maybe you're missing some money right now, but that's okay. The bank will loan you some money as long as you pay it back later. It's the bank's money, even while you're using it. You have to remember this, that this is something I have to give back. Likewise, when we have a fun night out, it's not that we're creating a fun time. We're just taking the fun that we could have tomorrow and taking out a loan for today. But tomorrow we have to give it back. Tomorrow we will be in debt because we've taken that fun from the next day, or those whom might abuse certain substances for many years, they are taking that out from the time that they're going through withdrawal later. That the feeling of withdrawal is just the debt of all of the happiness that they borrowed from their future, now present self. But the happiness is always there, like the integral under the curve. Maybe a calculus example isn't the best one. But if you sum total the amount of happiness a person has, it's the same whether they drink or not. It's just either concentrated really high on Saturday night and then really thin and sparse Sunday morning. But if you never go out partying, you still have the same amount of happiness. You've just made it more smooth and distributed. And I think that's the way to be if you don't want to feel those lows, is that we don't create those highs either. We just maintain in our basis level of happiness. And that's possible for everyone, even those who are currently going through substance abuse issues. When we pay back that debt, when the debt is settled, we have our baseline again. And thank you, Sean, for your rose also. Sean Monkman. Thank you. Radhe, Radhe. That's funny, Cheryl. What's a Hare Krishna? Well, a Hare Krishna is a Krishna who doesn't shave. But Hari is another name for Krishna. And it's a very famous mantra that's given in the Kali Sanatana Upanishad, a sacred scripture that says that in this age of Kali, of darkness, the only way to pass through the ocean of Maya is through chanting the 16 names of Narayan, which are Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And so there is a group of spiritual seekers that just listen to this verse of the Kali Sanatana Upanishad and they run with it. That's all they do. They chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And so they have been called the Hare Krishnas. But it refers to the mantra that they're saying, which is just a series of 16 names, many of them repeating. No more spectations. You ask such a good question. How do you differentiate when going into acceptance becomes conformity? I love that. Yeah. It's very simple, but not always easy to spot. Conformity means that someone's voice is quieter than another person's, whereas we should be speaking up for those whose voices are silenced. Conformity means inaction, that you're not participating. But acceptance means that you do the best you can. You raise the voices of the vulnerable, but you are accepting of what outcome happens. That is to say, even if you try your best and don't succeed, you are accepting of that. Because it was not ever a measure of the result, it was a measure of your effort in this life. And your effort is your duty. And Anna, you're wondering, do I know when the first person chanted this mantra? Well, probably thousands of years. I'll give you some context. It's referenced in the Kali Santorana Upanishad. What the Upanishads are, they're the philosophical portion of the Vedas, part of something called the Jnana Kanda, the knowledge portion. The Vedas are, as far as we know, at this time, humanity's oldest scriptures. And I kind of hesitate towards using the word scripture because that implies it was written down. There were many things that were actually written down before the Vedas. That's because the Vedas were first an oral tradition for many thousands of years. And it's the oldest oral tradition that we know of. The oldest body of philosophical, spiritual knowledge, just in general. And it was passed on for who knows how many thousands of years. But it was first starting to be written down on palm leaves about 5,000 years ago, at the turn of the Kali Yuga, which is what the Kali Santorana Upanishad is about, the current age that we live in, that's said to have been starting since 5,000 years ago. But there was this great saint named Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I forget exactly when he lived, but it was several centuries ago. He popularized this passage of Vedic scripture, this Mahamantra, this great mantra, and made it known all over India. And then in the last century, there was A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who was the leader of the Hare Krishna movement, and he popularized it all over the world. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he popularized it all over India, and then just in the last century it became a worldwide phenomenon, and now there are temples all over the world dedicated just to this practice of this method of chanting a mantra for ultimate liberation. Anime, you're wondering, will there be more ASMR Sundays? You've been really enjoying this. I'm happy to hear that. Yes, definitely. I try to do one every Sunday, as long as I go live. And hello, Yamina. And G, you're wondering, do I, study Christianity? A little bit. To be fair, I don't feel like I study anything. I'm just existing as I am, and things come my way. I'm not one to really watch documentaries or read books, but I love stories. I love listening to them. And that's inclusive of all religions that come my way. I don't hate any religion. In fact, I only have love for all the different traditions, and I believe that they each offer something unique. Every tradition offers something that another tradition doesn't have, and I think that's so special. And Allison, you like that? User 998, you're wondering, did I ever look into Islam? Well, I just recently bought the Quran, actually. And I also bought a book of poetry by a Muslim mystic, Rumi, who is a Sufi saint, as I'm sure you are familiar with. But I don't really look into anything, just to be clear about my vocabulary. It's not like I'm on the periphery of something and I want to go in, but I haven't ventured. I feel immersed in it already, my friend. I feel the spirituality that flows through all religions flow in me, and I'm very grateful for that. Yes, why don't we read from a poem from Rumi, this great Islamic devotee. So, why don't we read another poem from Rumi? Let's read this one. Companionship with the Holy. Don't take a wooden sword into battle. Go, find one of steel, then march forward with joy. The saint's protection is the truth's sword. Your time with him is worth as much as the cup of life itself. All the wise have said the same. The one who knows God is God's mercy to his creatures. Companionship with the holy makes you one of them. Though you're rock or marble, you'll become a jewel when you reach the man of heart. Plant the love of the holy ones within your spirit. Don't give your heart to anything but the love of those whose hearts are glad. Don't go to the neighborhood of despair. There is hope. Don't go in the direction of darkness. Suns exist. That's companionship with the holy. From Matnawi 1, 7:14 to 17, as well as 7:21 to 24. I love that. I think Rumi is very right, isn't he? Just by association with divine personalities, we become divine ourselves through osmosis. Thank you for listening. Simona, you're wondering, am I religious? Well, to be completely honest with you, I don't like the word religion. Lots has been done in the name of religion that I don't agree with. I think spiritual would be a better term, because being spiritual has no agenda. Being spiritual doesn't mean that you have some authority. It just means that you are a student of life, continuing to immerse yourself in truth wherever you find it. Some people may find it in one way, others may find it in another, but that does not speak to the difference of truth. It speaks to the difference in our unique ways of getting there. Hello, Sarah. You share fall in love and stay there. I love that. Linda, you ask, do all souls have physical bodies? there are three bodies. The physical body, the subtle body, and the causal body. The physical body is not necessary, and you all know this. When you are dreaming, you still see, but not with these eyes. You still hear, but not with these ears. You still feel, but not with this skin. You still speak, but not with this tongue. All of your faculties to experience life exist in your mind. Otherwise, we wouldn't experience life in our dreams just the same we do in the waking state. But in the physical, the world has a lot more object permanence. In the dream, things are more fluid. That's the subtle world, also known as the astral world, or just the dream world. People can have a dream body, but not necessarily have a physical body. And one can even go beyond their dream body also, into their causal. But there's not much to experience there. That's like the state of deep sleep. There's no sense of self, no sense of doership. In the causal, you are just as you are, resting. User 224, you ask, what are my thoughts on providence, divine intervention, manifestation? You share that you don't believe personally. It's a matter of attribution. Attribution means that we all have a choice to associate aspects of our life with the divine. It's a means of being humble, that all good that comes my way, I consider that the work of the divine. Not because I'm supposed to believe in this way, because it helps me stay humble. I attribute it to the divine. That way, I increase my faith and lessen my sense of ownership and pride. Because if I feel like I'm the one accomplishing everything, that builds up, and eventually we suffer the fall of our ego collapsing in on itself from its own weight. So it helps keep us nice and small. And thank you, user 998, for your rose. Assalamu alaikum. Linda, you ask, is there a difference between ghosts, angels, and souls? Yes. There are many words that mean the same thing, but we can distinguish between these three. A ghost is a subtle body without a physical body, as we were just talking about them. That they are a mind, but without a brain. It is said that subtle bodies are all around us, existing only in the astral. And when two people who love each other very much, they hug and kiss, and they share the same bed, a subtle body may enter their womb and start building on itself a physical body. But that is not the soul. A soul is the causal body, which is beyond even the subtle body. The causal body is just like a point. It has no mind. It has no body, no senses. Just a point of awareness. An angel is just a very lovely kind of ghost. One that's here to uplift you. And this doesn't have to mean anything abstract. We've all experienced it. Have you ever felt like a sudden inspiration take over you? A sudden thought force that compels you into action to be there for someone or for yourself? What a subtle body is just a thought force. It's a movement of thought. Did you know that in an atom, let's say in a helium atom, there's a nucleus, and in that nucleus there is a proton that forms the positive charge. Inside a proton, it's been said for years that there's 2 up quarks and a down quark. That's what a proton is made up of. It's like the atom of an atom. Because even an atom is made up of smaller things. So a proton is just made up of 2 up quarks and a down quark. You don't have to remember that. But scientists are now realizing that actually a proton is not just 3 quarks. It's an infinite number of them, coming and going. It's just that most of the time, most of them cancel out except for 3. That of all of the passing quarks, there's kind of this surface layer where 3 bubble up to the top, and that forms a proton. So too, our body is not just one being. We have many beings pass through us, like when you're angry or when you're really happy. Sometimes a fellow subtle body passes through this body and rises to the surface, but we are mostly just one subtle body. But various different thought forces from outside go through us. Someone may receive the thought force of anger and then pass it on to another person, and they pass it on, and then it splits, it reproduces into 2, and then 2 join later within one person because they receive anger from 2 different sources. There is a whole ecosystem of thoughts, and these thoughts form subtle bodies. When it's a particularly uplifting thought, one that opens you up to selfless service and loving devotion, then we can call that an angel. And conversely, when it does the opposite, we might call it something different. But it's just a flow of thoughts that are alive in and of themselves. Various subtle bodies and thought forces moving about. And thank you, John F., for your tiny. Yippee! And Bianca Ray, thank you for your community fest. Hare Krishna. And user 308, you ask, how do you light your spark again? You get very close to someone whose heart is a burning fire, And that person doesn't have to be alive, by the way. You can get very, very close with ancient hearts that are still burning, eternal fires. They can light your way even from beyond the grave. And thank you, Babble Fishy, for your rose. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. That's a beautiful point, Arya. If a note is out of tune, the divine symphony is out of whack. Wakik. You'll notice it if you're ever in front of an orchestra. All it takes is one player to be playing out of tune, and all you notice is the dissonance, and not the other how many dozen people playing in harmony. Thank you, Arya. Ches, you ask, how do you connect to ancient hearts for guidance? We listen to stories in which the passion continues to burn and hope that we catch flame too. Hope that we burn up and become like a sun. This could be stories from any tradition, from any part of the world. From Zarathustra, or Buddha, or Jesus Christ, or Sri Krishna. Whatever ignites the spirit of search within you. These stories live on, and as such, they carry the hearts of these saints with them. Thank you, Braiha, for your heart me. Om Grim Galikaye Namaha. Babble Fishy, thank you for your rose. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Malice, thank you for your pair of roses also. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. And Betty Elf, thank you for your garland headpiece. Hari Om Tat Sat. No more expectations, you ask. How to find or decide that you have something to say / share that could help others? That's a great question. Well, if you have a voice, then this is no mere coincidence. Your voice is always a gift, and your unique perspective on life is definitely worth sharing. However, it is important to also learn when it is time to be silent and listen, and when it is time to raise your voice and be heard. We listen when someone is sharing something with us, and we speak when someone comes to us in a way which we can relate to through our own experience. When they want to relate with us, we listen. When we want to relate with them, we speak. But the purpose is to merge our experiences together. Rihanna, thank you for your rose too. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. John F., thank you for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Kaibin, you ask, what's that word I always say? Which one? I say a lot of them. The rad. Yes. Radhe Radhe. It means, O Radha, O Radha. Calling out to a great being known as Radha. Who is this great being? Well, she is you and I. She is the universe. And she is the relationship that exists between us. Radha is the form of the divine feminine in her all-loving form, which encompasses the whole of creation, creature, and creativity, you could say. Thank you, Road to Clarity, for your heart me also. Namo Buddhaya. User 224, you had asked, what if you have an overactive conscience and feel guilty about minor things a lot? If you are looking for ways to grow, that's one thing. But if you are preventing yourself from growing by weighing yourself down, then that's something to let go of. Indeed, we should be aware of the ways in which we can improve. That way we can always keep growing, keep learning. However, if we feel like we weren't supposed to make a mistake, then how can we possibly grow if we feel like we should have already known something? Therefore, I would ask you to forgive yourself for not already knowing. Now is your opportunity to learn, to know now. And thank you, Annie MJ, for your rose too. Radhe Radhe. Pete, you share that you are just looking up Guru Nanak Dev Ji of the religion Punjabis follow, Sikhism. I just bought a book on Sikhism and I'm looking forward to reading it because it's one of the dharmic religions that I know very little about. Fox Forever, you share that sometimes you don't feel like you're enough and that you might slip into sin. I'm sorry to hear that. I believe that the word sin has been used in various ways, and not all of them with an intention to support you. Sometimes sin has been used to repress or oppress others. And if you are feeling weighed down by this usage of the term sin, then I would recommend relaxing off this concept a little bit. See, we make mistakes, and those mistakes are also for our benefit. I don't believe that God punishes, only provides us lessons and opportunities to learn from them. And sometimes those lessons are hard, but they're only hard because we make them so. For example, if we are selfish with someone and we sacrifice another person's happiness for our own, that's something we can learn from, not something to be punished for. You could say in some sense that the punishment is the lesson itself, and as long as you are committed to learning these lessons, that's okay. It matters not the mistakes we make, but how we grow from them, how we take accountability for them. And it's, in my opinion, that this is how the divine judges us. That it's not for what we have done, it's for what we are capable of. And we are capable of learning and growing from these things. And thank you, Annie, for your rose. Your heart me and cheer you up. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Mars, for your half-dozen cloud breads. Jai Shri Ram. User 224, you share that I seem to have a lot of potential for academic research. Is it possible I will return to it in any form? Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that you see the potential in me for that. That makes me happy. To me, I believe, just in my personal path, that the biggest difference I can make is on the front lines. I feel like academic research, not many people listen to it, really. You know, the average person does not read research articles. It really only benefits other researchers, which is great for the purpose of scientific advancement. But on the ground floor of society and culture, I know that I feel most needed being right here in the action, in exploring possibilities with you. I believe in the power of spoken word more than written word, I think is my point. And Annie MJ, you shared that you need a hug so much. You've been feeling very alone lately and could do with a hug. There are so many hugs that we need to get, don't we? The doctors recommend what? Is it eight hugs per day for mental health? Here, I'll add to your 8 hugs. Come here. And let me hug your ears with affirmation that you're doing good. It's okay. If you're feeling overwhelmed, what is there not to be overwhelmed with? I think the people who are overwhelmed are the most normal people because they recognize reality for what it is, and that's something that cannot be comprehended. All these crazy people going about life, oh yeah, it's totally normal to have come into this body out of 13.7 billion years of cosmic evolution, according to strange laws of physics, and stars and supernovae and galaxies and culture and history and time. Yeah, totally normal. Now, if you can be at peace with that, that's one thing. But if you recognize that this life is not something to merely take for granted, that can be a very overwhelming experience, and you're totally valid with that. Absolutely. The good news is that you don't have to be overwhelmed by it, even though it is absolutely overwhelming. We can come to a kind of acceptance of the fact that it's beyond comprehension. Arya, you share that you feel overwhelmed and that you have chosen the wrong field of study for stability. I feel like Pema has some words for you. Just my intuition. So why don't we read from another passage of this Buddhist nun's writings? Today let's read number 85, called Go to the Places That Scare You. Focus. Hocus pocus. Focus. Often in our daily lives, we panic. We feel heart palpitations and stomach rumblings because we are arguing with someone, or because we had a beautiful plan and it's not working out. How do we walk into those dramas? How do we deal with those demons, which are basically our hopes and fears? How do we stop struggling against ourselves? The revered Tibetan Buddhist master, Machig Labdron, advised us to go to the places that scare us. But how do we do that? We're trying to learn not to split ourselves between our good side and our bad side, between our pure side and our impure side. The elemental struggle is with our feeling of being wrong, with our guilt and shame at what we are. That's what we have to befriend. The point is that we can dissolve the sense of dualism between us and them, between this and that, between here and there, by moving toward what we find difficult and wish to push away. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Annie MJ, for your hand hearts. I give you some too. Hare Krishna. Orla, you share, isn't it fun? We just write each other little short love letters in here. I love your brain, Orla. And acting animagus. Animagus. You share that your girlfriend listens to me all the time, and she introduced me to your content. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Shout out to your wonderful girlfriend. You treat her nicely. You give her the minimum amount of forehead kisses every day. And you read her bedtime stories when she's trying to fall asleep. User 224, you ask, what are some of my current hobbies? Well, right now, I spend a lot of time working on a script, a writing system. There is such an unknown structure of Sanskrit, this ancient language that I'm obsessed with. And there hasn't been a script that we know of that was innate to the language, one that really represented all of the subtleties and sacred sounds of the language. So I've been designing my own script. It's very fun to design your own writing system, how you choose to convey information of certain sounds. That's a fun hobby of mine. I guess it falls under many areas like linguistics, phonetics, as well as typography. Hello, Teacher Lorraine. You're wondering, what's that place I show in my stories on Instagram? The garden one? Well, it's my happy place near my house on Vancouver Island. It's a beautiful, many acres wide garden system known as Butchart Gardens. Priscilla, you're wondering, what means a human being, dear Liam? You ask. Well, it's your name, Lima. You're a lima bean, but you're also a human being. It's a pun. Kara, you have Sanskrit in your name. Visuddha. You ask, is Sanskrit meant to be felt when spoken? Absolutely. Most definitely. Rats, you ask, where do I think the feeling of purpose and the strive for its fulfillment comes from? What a wonderful question. And I'll give you the most wonderful answer I ever heard from the Vedas, humanity's oldest scriptures. They say, just as a river is drawn towards its ocean, just as a rock is pulled towards its earth, just as a child is drawn towards its parent, we are drawn towards purpose and happiness, peace, because that is our source. Because all things are drawn towards its whole, we are part and parcel of the source of happiness and purpose and peace itself. I think that's beautiful. Thank you, the hearts, for your finger heart. Heart from the hearts. There's one for you too. 4B movement, you shared that you dreamt about me yesterday and I was the same height as Baby Yoda and you gave me a hug. Oh. Thank you, I do. Hugs I like. Very appreciated you are. With you may the force be. Thank you, Rob, for your heart me also. And Terrence Goldsworthy, thank you for your rose. And you are certainly worthy of the gold-like treasure within your own heart. Thank you for your lots of gentle hugs, Annie. And Kai Bean, you share that you once had a dream about me too. I seem to be infecting many people's dreams, but that's okay. As long as I am being kind, then I consider it an extension of myself. User 224, you're wondering, am I tall in real life? You imagine me as 5'10". No, I'm the size of Baby Yoda. They're right. I'm just a little guy. Suspicious bee, you were wondering, why am I obsessed with it? What makes it so special? To me, Sanskrit is so special for many reasons. For one, it appears to be the most expressive language for spiritual things. There are such subtle concepts that we just don't have words for in English. Like the concept of your true self, Atman, as being one with the ultimate self, Brahman. But the concept of feeling like an individual portion of that true self, that is the Jivatma, but we can get lost in our individuality. Thus we are simply a Jiva. But all human beings were striving for this kind of ultimate liberation, moksha. Thus there are various ways to do it, ways of merging ourselves with the ultimate, yoga. There are subtle points of energy which our awareness flows around, chakra, and there are sound forms of these energies which bring us closer to the divine, mantra. And sometimes in life, just as we need a teacher for medicine, for engineering, for so many aspects of life, we also need a spiritual teacher, guru. These are just some examples of Sanskrit words, which you may already be familiar with. But also, Sanskrit contains the largest and the oldest body of philosophical, scientific, poetic, and spiritual literature in the whole world, stretching back at least 5,000 years. As such, there are 4 Vedas, various Brahma Sutras, 108 major Upanishads, 108 minor Upanishads, great Itihasas, epics like the Ramayana and the Mahabharatam, which is the longest story ever, at 100,000 verses. In fact, you could probably find every religious story, or at least every archetype of every spiritual story, somewhere within the Sanskrit body of literature. It's truly phenomenal. And that's just what survived. If just 1% of it survived, who can imagine what was there originally? So learning Sanskrit opens the door to perhaps the largest culture, the most ancient culture in terms of the pursuit of spiritual liberation. And thus we have so many different sources of wisdom to draw from, so many different people, experiences. It opens you up to so many different dimensions. Not only that, but Sanskrit is a very mystical language also, because the sounds of Sanskrit are intimately tied with profound modes of awakening, like the word Om. You've all heard of the word Om. It is comprised of 3 Sanskrit sounds. The akar, actually 4. The akar, the ukar, the umkar, and this nasalization called the Chandra Bindu, which literally means crescent moon and dot, because that's the symbol you see over the Omkar. The A represents absolute existence, creation. The U represents pervading existence, preservation. The represents finalizing existence, destruction. And the nasalization at the end, which there's really no way to transcribe into English, that represents the impersonal reality which spans it all. So people meditate on Om to get a full experience of the entirety of creation, preservation, destruction of the whole universe, all in one breath, and the silence there before and after. Thank you, Labyrinth, for your community fest. Hare Krishna. And Morgan, thank you for your heart mito. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And thank you, Annie, for your trio of team bracelets also. And Pamela, you ask, at what age did I start studying? You won't believe me when I tell you I've never studied these things. Why? Because it takes more than one lifetime to study Vedic literature. In fact, because the Vedic scriptures, they are organized to a poetic meter that has a definite speed of pronunciation. You can measure exactly how long it would take to read or listen to all of the scriptures. And that totals up to something about 200 to 400 years, depending on your calculation. 200 is the lower bound. It's like a Bible that would take 200 years to read. That is why reincarnation is a big part of Vedic Dharma, because you're not expected to come to all these spiritual truths in one lifetime. It takes many lifetimes. In one lifetime you study the Rig Veda, and the next you study the Samaveda, and the third the Yajur Veda, and the fourth the Atharva Veda, and then, the various 108 Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras and the epics. It's a multi-lifetime process. But these things, they stick with you. You might not remember having studied them, but all of the truths that you did study, well, they stay with you. So you just pick up where you left off. That's a concept, isn't it? The Claude is here. Good to see you too. What was my question of the day? My question of the day is, how are you feeling? It's true. This is what I asked. And in fact, you know what? We're actually coming to the end of this Sangha because I had plans to go for a walk with my father in less than a half an hour. So I should probably wrap things up. So I'm going to open the question of the day back up to everyone. How are you feeling? And how would you like to feel? Madeline, you're feeling enamored. I'm so happy to hear that. And Abby, you're wondering, do I believe we have a set fate? Yes, it's whatever we decide, whatever we set in stone. The law of karma means that you decide your destiny. Kara Visuddha, you're feeling thankful for me? Really? Well, it's a big coincidence, because I'm feeling thankful for you also. Hecklefish, you feel dirty, but you would like to feel clean. Well, you're in the best spot for that. Just swim around, wiggle your fins, wag your tail. Do fishes wag their tail? Would that be the correct word? Madeline, you share no more stimulation. Skyrocket guy, you share that you feel contentment. I love that. Pamela, you are feeling hopeful. I love that also. Abby, you share that you're feeling anxious and paranoid, but you wish to feel free and tie-free. I love that for you. Have you heard of pronoia? It's the opposite of paranoia. Pronoia means that a part of you believes that the entire universe and everyone around you are actively working towards your benefit. Pronoia means that you believe that everyone is thinking positively of you. The whole universe is arranging itself such for your benefit. Teacher Lorraine, you share that you are feeling grateful and you would like to feel more in peace. I love that. And Kai Bean, you share that you don't feel anything right now, but you want to feel positive. And that's enough. Neen, you share that you're feeling worried and would like to feel at peace. I believe that's possible for you. And user 623, you share that you're feeling anxious about not being liked or loved. You want to feel secure and whole. I believe that this is meant for you also. Austin, you share that you feel sad because you feel so connected to everyone you've ever met, yet you haven't talked to anyone. You'd like to feel free from guilt. What an open heart you have. I think that's beautiful. Thank you for your rose and pair of friendship necklaces. Hari Om Tat Sat. And you feel crazy and tired, but also glad you caught the end of this live. Me too. Hello, Madeleines. Thank you. I love you too. John F., you share that you feel lost and confused, and you would like to feel like you did before boyfriend died. That definitely sounds like a time of wandering, a time of searching for where all that love in your heart is now supposed to go. I really feel for you, and thank you for sharing that with me. Username _03. You feel with your 6 senses, but you want to feel with 7. I like that. User 224, you're feeling sick and hoping to recover soon. As you shall. Om Shanti Pamela. Thank you. Dr. Jenny, you share you don't know how you feel, and that's okay. Magdalene, you share that you're feeling a bit in the background of life. It would make your heart at ease to feel witnessed. Well, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. You are important, and your soul deserves to find itself expressed. And thank you, Neen, for your flowers. Radhe Radhe. And Catherine, the wise old owl, thank you for your pair of roses. And thank you, Annie, for your rose also. Mikael, you ask, how do I be happy? And then you answer your own question. Give and give with no expectations of appreciation. Melinda, you share that you feel like you're juggling and you want to feel like you're cartwheeling. I like that. And Annie, you're feeling very down and alone and just wish you meant something to someone. Well, you mean a lot to this space, to this Sangha, and I hope that any time that you are feeling like you are not meant to be in any way, you are always welcome to send me a message on WhatsApp, Instagram, Telegram, or email. And I hope that other people here also extend that offer to connect with you, because you deserve to feel like you are meant to be. And Linda, you share that you are feeling motivated to learn more about God and feel more God's love. That's beautiful. Hello, Luis. Thank you for being here. Hare Krishna, Anna. Goodbye. Thank you, Manuela. I love you too, Annie. Everyone here deserves love and freedom. I agree, Abby. Pete, you share that you went to the Sikh temple for the first time in years. You're starting to become one with Wahguruji. I love that. Satnam. Thank you, Annie, for your rose, and John F. for your friendship necklace. Radhe Radhe. How do you WhatsApp me? Well, if you go to the link tree in my bio, all of my other social media icons are there for you. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to check in with you and checking in with yourself and recognizing how you want to guide your feelings. But just know that regardless of what you're feeling and what you would prefer to feel, you are allowed to feel this way. And I'm sure that in no time, all the right decisions will be made in order to cultivate a greater sense of happiness and purpose and peace. You're so funny, Isabella. I understand. You feel okay. You want to feel amazing. Thank you, Dr. Jenny. And good night, Linda. I would like to end with a few words from the start of our next chapter in this book that we've been reading together. And then I'll say goodbye. Today we are starting the 5th chapter of In Love at Ease. I believe the 2nd chapter was titled In Love. This chapter is titled At Ease. Let us learn from Pramukh Swami and see how we can be at ease too. The subtitle of this chapter is called Sharing Sahajanand, which is a kind of bliss. Ananda means bliss. Sahaja, I'm not sure. Perhaps this author will illumine our understanding. I know that Sahajanand Ji was one of the names for the Ishta Devata, the personal divine form of this tradition that Swamishri was a part of. This section of this chapter is called Krishna's Song in a Hospital Room. I was a new admission at the Medicine and Infectious Diseases Department at the hospital, but in 3 days I had picked up the lay of the land. The morning bustle on the 4th floor of the hospital was like that of a train station in India. It picked up dreamily right before sunrise and escalated into a full-scale market in less than an hour. Nurses whooshing in with their warm but hasty hellos, residents and interns scrambling to familiarize themselves with cases. Minutes before their attendants waltz in with large coffees and iPads, and patients dreading their daily morning alarm, the smiling, the blood-drawing fairies. Today, however, things were surprisingly quiet. I looked out the window of my room and noticed a white blanket covering the cars, windows, and sidewalks. It gave me hope. Maybe the snow would delay a few of the nurses, and that would result in an extra hour of sleep before poking and prodding again today. I spent a good portion of the winter and spring in 2011 in and out of hospital beds in New York as physicians tried to pin down the cause of my debilitating neuromuscular pains and a persistent fever. I had lost more than 9 kilograms, and more importantly, the confidence to continue my graduate studies at the religion department at Columbia University. As I turned away from the window and closed my eyes, I heard the soft, familiar whispers of the middle-aged woman on the other side of the blue-speckled white curtain. Veena-ji began her mornings with a gentle chanting of Vedic hymns before transitioning into humming more musical poetry of the Tamil language bhakti, loving devotion songs of the Alvars. I would doze off as her bhajans, her devotional songs, morphed into classical Carnatic music compositions of the 18th century stalwarts Tyagaraja and Muthuswami Dikshitar. I would stir in my bed again when her voice would rise a few decibels as she crooned the wintry songs of Frank Sinatra. The medley often concluded with her favorite Bollywood classics by Lata Mangeshkar or 90s pop with Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. It was my favorite part of the hospital mornings. Music is not all that she seemed to enjoy. Her food, her visitors, her board games, her books, her evening news hour, her meditation, she made the most of every activity. Her enthusiasm and joy increased with each passing day, even as her health seemed to be deteriorating. There was a certain ease and enjoyment with which she indulged in life, an organic, unforced, dependable smile made her day and that of all those who visited and treated her. Though I was thousands of miles away from my 90-year-old guru in Sarangpur, his lessons resonated in Vinaji's demeanor and easygoing approach to her illness and life. The frequent calls and messages of encouragement from Swamishri and the twice-daily calls from Ishvara Charandas Swami gave me the strength to keep going. Though dozens of friends, family members, and sadhus visited and called each time I was admitted, it was my conversation with Vinaji on that morning of the blizzard, coupled with a voice message from my guru, that ultimately impacted my outlook on life, my outlook on experiencing and enjoying the journey. Her ability to transcend the debilitating effects of her advanced degenerative syndrome with a smile, while continuing to pursue her ambitions and carry out her responsibilities as a physician, mother, amateur musician, and bhakta, devotee, inspired me. She did it all and at once was at ease and free from the stress of wanting to impress. It was not until my guru spoke to me through Vinaji that morning that I gained the strength to enjoy the small wins as I recovered in my hospital bed and struggled with my own chronic illnesses in the coming decade. There was no Sinatra that morning after the raga tunes. I assumed that Vinaji was meditating instead. I sat up in bed and turned to face her side of the room. I noticed that she was drawing something on a large piece of paper. The smile on her face and the conversation she was having with the recipient of that card in her mind led me to presume that the card was for one of her children. But that did not seem quite right, for they were much older than the age group that would appreciate large birthday cards with colored marker drawings. I was thinking through the different possibilities when she called out from her side of the room, "Yogi-ji, today is one of my patient's birthdays. I promised this young boy that we would celebrate on his next visit to the clinic. Unfortunately, I am still here and may be here for the rest of the week. They have to rule out any complications with the new immunosuppressant drugs. I thought I would make this card so my staff and the covering pediatrician can celebrate with the child on my behalf." I watched as her hand shook and her fingers locked up. She dropped the marker thrice while writing "Happy Birthday." I could see that she was fighting severe pain as she drew, though she was committed to celebrate that patient's birthday from her hospital bed. Why did this birthday card matter so much? What was it that kept her going through the pain and difficulty? How did she approach all her activities with this enthusiasm? My initial reaction was that she may have been on a higher dose of painkillers, and therefore may be experiencing an induced state of euphoria. I could not resist. "Vinaji, why go through all the trouble? Is this patient a family friend or a neighbor? It seems to be a pattern. You are always going out of your way to entertain your visitors and staff, always positive and easygoing with others. And here I am, troubled by something as insignificant as a text message alert. Yesterday, I noticed that the nurse had trouble drawing blood from your arm and later hands. Despite her poking you 4 times, you were smiling and speaking to her as if she had done nothing wrong. I would have been livid if I had as many bruises on my arms. She interrupted with a smirk. 6 times, but hey, who's counting? I was not done yet. And the way you greet each visitor with a smile and enthusiasm. How do you manage to do the impossible? To tolerate pain, genuinely smile, and enjoy the little things in life, while still being carefree and nonchalant about the things that you cannot control. She listened attentively while struggling with those colored markers. I unleashed my frustration with her composure and my lack thereof, modeled as carefully as a carefully worded query. Vinaji barely looked down at me when she responded coolly with a question of her own. Yogi-ji, is there a better option? Should I be upset, cry, complain and argue, blame others? Ask myself, why me? Sink into a state of anxiety? I doubt that would help me recover or make me pleasant to be around. Has it helped you? I watched her in silence without responding. She knew what my silence meant. I needed to hear more. Have you read the Srimad Bhagavad Gita? This book. Of course you have. I see that you are often reading Sanskrit and Hindi texts. You have friends and family write them on your intake whiteboard. Doesn't Sri Krishna Bhagwan say that all one can do is keep going without worrying about the end result? Does that not mean the journey is as important as the final destination? I try to appreciate each of my interactions with my children, patients, and colleagues as my last. I sing every bhajan or Lata Mangeshkar or Sinatra classic as if it may be the last time my voice works. I meditate every time as if it may be the last time I can sit up. I give it my all, no regrets, and while doing all of that, I find a way to smile, not because of decorum or social etiquette, but because I enjoy the journey as much as I want to enjoy what may come after. I want to be better and prepared for the next chapter. And when it does come, I will embrace it with ease, since I know that it's just another part of the journey. I am confident that Sri Krishna Bhagwan will guide me to where I need to be. That is his job. I can only do mine. I am at ease because I know he is always there for me. I was even more curious now. Okay, but that is a mindset. From where do you draw the physical energy to keep going, not quit or give up? Her response changed the way I saw guardians and gurus. Yogi-ji, I am a mother. A mother always finds the strength within her to keep giving long after she has nothing left to give. Have you noticed how your mother comes to drop off food before and after work every day? Have you noticed how tired she looks when you are trying to send her home because your friends are still chatting with you late into the night? Yet, she wants to give you 5 more minutes of her love every night. I am sure you know that she will find a way to drop off food in the next few hours, though your driveway is covered under a roof of snow, a foot of snow. Mothers do not take days off. They do not retire. We give until our children tire of taking. If I am not enjoying life, I will not be able to give to my children, and there is no greater pain than that. You sleep comfortably every night, knowing that your mother will do whatever it takes to make you feel whole. Just as my children know that I will be there for them, I know that Sri Krishna will be there for me, and each of us should be overjoyed that we have a mother or guardian, a living Sri Krishna in our lives, in whose company we can grow and find comfort. Anyways, Yogi Ji, shall we pick this up later in the day? I am going to call my staff and children to make sure that they are okay in the blizzard. Namaskar. She radiated a smile warm enough to melt an inch of snow while she proceeded to make calls in English and Tamil. I turned over in my bed and thought through the last 10 minutes of conversation. This was more than a routine exchange of pleasantries, but rather a master class in everyday spirituality from a mother and guardian. It was a lesson shared and lived by my own guru, but it hit me differently when she shared through a bold and warm presence in a hospital room. Veena Ji's informal morning pravachan sermon from her hospital bed sounded all too familiar, as if a universal spirit inspired her message. She spoke of an effortless, organic ability to confront life with a smile, a journey to embrace tomorrow while enjoying all of today. There was no need to perform or impress, only to stay true to oneself. It was an everyday spiritual lesson which was a result of ultimate faith in the divine and His will. Though she used a different vocabulary, it was as if Veena Ji had heard the voice recording that my guru sent a few days ago, in which Swamishri reminded me, Bal ane himmat rakje, stay strong, anand ma raheje, be happy, ane yad rakje, abde kyare ekla nathi, Bhagwan abdi sadhe jache, and remember, you are not alone, God is always with us. Dhari Javabdari Ame Lidhi Che. My bhaktas, my devotees are my responsibility. To be at ease is to have courage, enjoy moments, and to remember that you are not alone. God and Guru have taken responsibility of you. So thank you for listening, my dear viewers. We'll end our introduction to the 5th chapter on being at ease, of in love, at ease, there for now. Now I have to go so that I can be with my father, go for a walk with him in the evening. And I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to be with you all. Thank you for your acronym for YAM username. You are magnificent. Thank you. Thank you, Chicken Drumsticks, for your finger heart you sent just as we started reading. Radhe Radhe. And Isabella, thank you for your tiny diny. Yippee! John F., thank you for your music play and balloons. Hariom Tatsat. And Bobby Subeka, thank you for your heart me, team bracelet, and cheer you up. Jai Swaminarayan. If anyone wants to listen to the recording of this live, it'll be posted to my Yamsox Live's YouTube channel, and other alternatives, all listed in the link tree in my bio. But I bid you farewell. May this live stream be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna. And May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Radhe or Radhe. I'll see you tomorrow. Namaskar.